Top weekly hauler. Now my family, I told you, my week is somewhere else. So, should have enough sitting at the station. Oh, they got a budget meeting tonight. That's got that little foot brake across it. Rated for about 2,000 pounds. What are you gonna put across it? Nothing. Not fire engine anyway. firebolt to the roof or bank service. It's even better. Yeah. You need to call back that quick. They probably came into an alarm activation long enough for them to land on our biscuit or something. Need to do, but do it when the weather's not nice. Yeah. One of the new chemicals we started,
First item of business will be minutes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may interrupt, would you all be so kind as to turn on your microphones so the folks online can hear and we can too? Thank you.
Okay, does that work?
Yes, sir. Thank you
Sounds
very
like
much.
it works to me. Okay. Okay, so first item of business is the minutes.
I make a motion that they be accepted.
All right, it's been moved that the minutes have been accepted. Is there a second to the motion?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the minutes are approved as submitted. And thank you, Jen, for typing those up. Thank you, Suzanne, for taking the minutes.
You're welcome.
Okay, since this is the first night as myself as chairman, there are a couple of things I want to address just before I start. One is since there are no bylaws, or at least I'm not aware of any bylaws, are you, Jonathan, of the BZA? Yeah, yes. And so typically it's the option of the chairs to whether they want to vote on cases. It just has to be consistent. So I'm taking the opportunity now, since before we start, to just make it be known by record that I'm going to participate in voting on any case. I mean, that's the way I understand it. If it's not declared, then the chair needs to declare it to start. So I'm doing so. And the second thing is, in the past, we haven't made oral motions or verbal motions, and we need to do that. We don't have ballots tonight, but even with the ballots, I think it's good practice if we make verbal motions.
She does.
She does have ballots, so we'll still execute the ballots after the verbal motion, but we need to make verbal motions, I think. So I think we need to do that.
Okay.
So, having said that, we have some other business to take care of at the end of the meeting, but we'll address the two cases that we have tonight and take care of things after the cases so the applicants don't have to wait for us. All right, our first case tonight is case number V12125, represented by Mr. Massey Saunders on behalf of Central Virginia Services Incorporated, doing business as Firefly, leasing real property owned by Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, REC, has requested a variance of Madison County Zoning Ordinance 441. Structure shall be located 50 feet or more from any street right-of-way, which is 50 feet or greater in width, or 100 feet or more from the center line of any street right-of-way less than 50 feet in width, on the parcel known as Madison County Tax Map number 24-3 1L, is that correct? 31I, okay. The applicant is requesting that the required front setback be reduced from 100 feet to 40 feet so that a 10-foot by 20-foot prefabricated masonry building may be installed. So you want to introduce yourself to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Massey? You're okay right there. I think we're a small enough group.
Massey Saunders. I have a surveying engineering business, and I've been doing business with Firefly since about 2018. And we've done all the hubs that have been put in all the localities where they've worked. We've done 100% of them. We put one out on Hoover Road. Well, I mean, the one we're talking about here is Hoover Road. We put one out at the ballpark to start some stuff out there. So when we first started working on this site, you should have a piece of information, I think, where we put it in the southeast corner of the site. And we were informed by Rappahannock Electric that they needed to upgrade their station due to demand on their system, and that we could not utilize that area. And we're trying to put them as close to their distribution lines as possible, because we go and hook into their overhead lines and then distribute the service via their rights-of-way. And the site that worked out best for them, and so that they could increase the size of the substation and do the infrastructure that they needed to do, the only place we had to work was in the southwestern corner of the property. And what we are requesting is a variance to be able to put in the building, the generator, and the propane tank as shown on that drawing that you have been given at the location shown. When I first met and talked with your planning director, I was under the impression that we needed to meet that setback with any structures that we were planning on putting in for the site, which included the bollards, the fencing, the propane tank, the generator, and so forth. Based on what I'm seeing in the information sheet there, it's saying the hut. So with that, the hut is almost twice as far back as what we've got shown on this drawing in dimensions. But if with this case, if we use 40 feet, everything will be 40 feet further back from the center line of the existing road that's serving the properties behind. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you have for me and try to help you with understanding what's being proposed.
So it's 40 feet from this road that goes back to a subdivision, is that correct?
Yes, sir. The front was deemed the road that serves the property, and the entrance to the site is off of that private road and not off the state road.
And so how many feet is it from the center line of the road to the hut?
To the hut, I'm just from scaling from what I just looked at here, it's between 60 and 70.
So I guess more than that 40 that.
40 covers everything that we would be putting in.
I understand.
So when I first started this, I was looking at 41 feet for that bollard to protect the propane tank and so forth.
Right.
So I was, that's why I put down 40 on the variance.
Sure.
But no, the hut is significantly further back from that.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Saunders?
And if you want to see a larger scale drawing to understand a little bit better, you can look at it here.
And
I should have brought more copies.
what was the reasoning for maybe not pushing it all back a little more?
In the area here in the southeastern corner, Rappahannock Electric has got to increase the size of their substation significantly to be able to handle the demand. And they're using all of this property back here for the upgrades that they've got to do to their station, because their main lines are back over in this area.
Thank you.
So everything to the right of the hut is open right now?
Say again?
Everything to the right of the hut is open, undeveloped?
It's open area right now, yes, sir. It's grown up in small trees and grass and so forth,
Right.
but it's open.
This is the main substation.
So here, yeah, here's where they were.
Yeah, here's the. And how many properties are accessed by that road? How many properties are accessed by the road that your setback is measured off of?
I could see one dwelling back and deeper in the property, but I'm not sure how many actual properties are served by that road.
I know it's at least 2 or 3, because I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, that right there is showing 3 dwellings that are served by it right there.
Yeah, that's about right.
And with that, if you notice on there, we've done some landscape buffering, and if that needs, we can change it out some to some low-growing evergreens if need be, but we can't do anything real tall because we don't want it to fall into the station area or onto the overhead lines that are parallel in the road right there.
Sure.
So we're trying to do something to have a visual buffer, but we can't have a real tall evergreen like a green giant or something like that.
Right.
Have you gotten any feedback from those neighbors that are on that access road?
I've had at least one neighbor give me a call and want to know what we were doing, and they were excited that the Firefly was coming through.
When I was out there on parcel 2431C, shown on the drawing there, the gentleman came out because we were looking for some iron pins to try to figure out the boundaries out there. And he came out and he said, just get it done.
You like to hear that, don't you?
Sir?
You like to hear that, don't you?
Yes, sir. We've been working in some areas where it's not so friendly.
Yeah, sure. Any other questions from BZA for Mr. Saunders? To the audience, any questions, comments from the audience? Yes, Jonathan?
I'm not trying to steal Sheriff's work next, but I just wanted to mention I will speak on behalf of the county for this, the importance of this, which I think many of you are tracking because you understand the ISP providers, Firefly. There's many grants or ARPA funding that we've received. So part of deployment of broadband in the county, obviously you have to have fiber huts to do that. So certainly this is not to sway your decision, it's to give you information that the county is really looking for universal coverage and definitely will be supportive of this.
And I'll make comment too, that you have ran quite a bit of the fiber already in the county. 'Cause I say a lot of the fiber's already run in the county, the fiber line, because I know they run it behind their house.
Yeah, as soon as we know where the hub will go, which is this unit here, we can go round figures, 15-mile radius from that hub to serve whoever needs it, where they have Rappahannock Electric. But we're actually working right now with Dominion, Rappahannock, Southside Electric, AEP, and Central Virginia Electric, who is the founder of all this. But any place in the rural areas where you're not getting the service that you would in the more developed areas, Firefly is going and is providing a very good service. I've talked with a lot of people that have very expensive services at the hospital at UVA, and they have Firefly at home, and they'd rather work at home than they would in the hospital. But I think I have it at my office, I have it at my home, and it's reliable and blink of the eye.
Okay, any other questions, comments from BZA or the audience? Hearing none, then we need a motion on this case.
I move that we accept the variance for the Firefly installation as in the application,
As presented.
as presented.
I
Is it-
second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that this case be recommended, the variance be granted as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. I'm sorry, all those in favor raise your right hand. Any opposed? So the variance is approved.
Thank you. And you could see us here in the next couple of weeks.
That'd be good, Massey. Okay, our next case is case number V121252. Madison County Board of Supervisors has requested a variance of Madison County zoning ordinance 8-4-1. Buildings shall be located 45 feet or more from any street right-of-way which is 50 feet or greater in width, or 70 feet or more from the center line of any street right-of-way less than 50 feet in width. The minimum distance which the main building is required to be located from the street right-of-way or center line shall be known as the setback line to reduce the front setback on Madison County Tax Map 40-18B from 45 feet to 35 feet so that a carport may be installed on site. So, Mr. Jonathan, you want to just tell everybody what's going on?
Yes, sir. Oh, perfect, Alan, I was gonna ask for that photo. Our existing EMS station, we leased that from David James. And over at that location, we have two carport structures. They are, I think, 26 by 31 by 14 are the dimensions. Currently, that is the only way to garage ambulances. Now, the property you see before you is the former rescue squad building. We are renovating that, so we will have some indoor space for ambulances, but there are other equipment beyond ambulances that EMS has, such as a mass casualty trailer and other trailers that we hope we never need, but there are times we have to set that up, and we all know that equipment is better if it's housed, it'll last longer. We've looked at this location, we looked at other locations in the county. Do we need both of those carport structures on this site, or can we use them somewhere else? And we determined to locate both on this site. One, we had plenty of distance, which is at the back of the property. We actually share some space with Mark Woodward from Madison Plumbing. But the one before you were requesting a variance, in talking with the building official, and I believe he had a letter in your packet, even though it's a carport structure, there's a fire code, you've got to be, I think it's 10 feet off of the modular building. So that property, there's an existing modular building there. It used to be the home of EMS when Madison County EMS started. So to have that 10 foot of separation, as the variance or as the ordinance is written now, we would encroach, we would not have that 45 feet setback. I think we would be like 8 feet shy, so we just ask, we like round numbers, to round up to 10 to allow to get the separation from the building. Normally, we don't like to encroach any further than anyone else, but it makes sense if we're gonna locate trailers that may have to be moved out from time to time for events or emergency events, have them up the top of the property. The back of that property really drops off, and we have not really improved that yet via any type of road, is why we've sought after this location, so.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Any questions from BZA members?
So this carport structure, it's like a temporary type structure?
This will, as the code, can you bring up Jamie's, oh, that is his letter. Even though you and I would probably view that as temporary, you could take the anchors up and all that, but code requires everything to be anchored to earth, whether that's concrete piers or some house, and that's in Mr. Wilkes' letter, so we will do that. But technically, sir, we could move that if for some other reason we didn't need the equipment or so forth, it could be moved. Our plan at this time is for it to be permanent.
Any other questions, comments?
You said the second one is being moved to the back of the property?
So back of the property, can you bring up GIS, please, Mr. Nichols? It has enough setback either way, but be happy to show you that on the screen. So if you look, yes. So if you look at the, oh, you got a pointer. I'm gonna turn around. So I can- All right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that's showing. We do have, there's an existing older carport was down there that the squad had. We didn't demo that. It may be of some use. We're thinking about just grading a spot right beside it and put it there. So you come through our property here, and this is Mark Woodward, this is Madison Plumbing. And there's gravel if you dug up some of the dirt that goes down, but it's probably been a long time since there's had any base gravel that goes down. There used to be, or actually it's still there, it's abandoned, the old well house that used to feed water here. There was some former contamination of this well, is the reason why we got RSA water that feeds this site. So we're gonna put it right beside, if you can see this existing structure, right to the left of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So is the remainder of the renovations all within the footprint of the existing building then?
Yes, sir. Everything else fit perfectly. We hoping to have an open house probably late spring, so we'll invite everybody out so you can see, it's a vast difference. It's a shame not everything would fit on the site, because you'd like to have everything on the roof, but I think that's a half acre, so there's actually two parcels there, the carport and the existing modular, or the proposed carport, excuse me, and the existing modular, or what's proposed, what's existing and what's being proposed for that half acre site. I believe the other parcel, Alan, is an acre or acre and a half. So when the county purchased that from the rescue squad, they purchased both parcels, but it is two individual parcels.
So the second parcel is a parcel to the right there then?
Where the
far?
proposed,
Yeah.
yes, that is
That's
where the
the site.
proposed carport structure is going, and then the main operations will exist to the left. I don't know if it's better the county someday consolidate the two, I'm not sure, we just
Yeah,
left them there.
simpler. Any other questions, comments from BZA to the public, anybody? Any other people have comments? Back to BZA, questions, comments, or a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that this be approved.
I s-
Okay, been moved and
I
seconded.
second that.
That this variance be granted for the Board of Supervisors. All those in favor, raise your right hand, please. Any opposed? So it is approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, board.
Thank you, know the routine. Awesome. Okay, the only other items I have, well, in going through, looking at code and everything, I mean, I wasn't able to find bylaws anywhere, and nobody has given any bylaws, or provided any bylaws, so I think it's best if we do a little, cleaning up of things before we get going. Alan, in a previous, zoning administrator, we had some issues a couple of times with meeting times. I won't go into it, but we met at 6:30 one time and 7 o'clock one time and like 7:30 one time, and we actually had
Different nights?
different nights. We actually had an applicant came in at 7 o'clock and we met at 6:30 and we were already done when they were walking in the back door.
If you'd like to meet during business hours, I'm not opposed.
Well, so, I think we need to set our meeting times and get that in the record since we don't have bylaws. And, there's nothing in code that I can find about, that particular issue. So, for me personally, I think, was it third Tuesday that we meet, Suzanne? This is third Tuesday, correct? Third Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. Works good for me. I think it's a good routine. At this location. Of course, I met for years in the circuit court room. but I personally prefer this area. I think it's sure more agreeable for a public meeting. So, if it's a group, I'm just throwing this out as a suggestion. As chairman, I can't make any motions, so I would encourage the BZA to do that in the form of a motion, so we have that in the record.
I move that we meet on the third Tuesdays of each month at 7 PM in the county auditorium.
Okay, is there a second to
Aye.
Suzanne's motion? All right, Roger, a second. So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 So the motion carries, so that will be formally, officially be our scheduled meeting times. So
And
if-
can I add, if there is no case, if the staff could let us know that there's no case and the meeting will be canceled.
Staff will be happy to let you know if there are no cases.
Okay, so the next item I have, as far as just setting some times and responsibilities, is the administrative work, the secretarial work. In the past, that has been advertised. Suzanne has held that position for a number of years. And it appears to me, and the zoning administrator did a vast majority of that work of that office as far as getting out the agenda, getting out the mailers and everything. So, and I've spoken to Jonathan about this, and he's agreed that he thinks it's appropriate that the zoning administrator's office be responsible for the administrative duties as well as the secretarial record keeping and anything, or recording of the minutes. And then it'll be Mr. Nichols' responsibility or his office's responsibility to do those things. Correct?
Happy to do it.
That's understood, correct? But I think it'd be best if we do that again in the form of a motion if the BZA member so choose. Anybody care to make that a form of motion?
I would be happy to do that. I move that the zoning staff be responsible for the administrative and secretarial duties, to include the sending out the agenda and the packets and taking the minutes and keeping track of that record keeping.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second that one.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, no opposed, so we'll officially have that done, and if there's anything you need from me, Alan, or Jen, or whoever, just let me know.
Not shy. We'll let you know.
That's good.
And I have more things for Janet.
Okay, the next thing that I have on my list is just nominations to the circuit court judge for the vacancies that are on the board. And I have a question for you, Jonathan. I had an opportunity to meet with Ms. Grayson since we last talked. And, talked about who presented the nominations to the circuit court judge for appointment. And it was her understanding that due to the guidance from counsel, Mr. Shackelford, over the years, that it was, she explicitly said that it was not the responsibilities of the board of supervisors, that it was to come from this board. And, I've been through the code up and down every way I can, and I think it's, vague at best. You know how attorneys write. So, I personally have no problem with, the board suggesting the members. I'm just curious as if if the county attorney made that suggestion to you or where it originated from.
Sure, thank you for the question. That is not something that the county attorney administered or determined. That can be found in Madison Code. I don't have that before me, we can bring that up. As you and I talked, if there's any accustomed to, such as things that we talked about lineage and things, you kind of lose it over time. We're happy to take considerations. I think moving forward, the best way to do that is that if there is a vacancy, one, you're made aware of it. Two, if we advertise for it, then you'll be given the applications to give the feedback. And if you have a
Right.
certain recommendations, by all means, I take any recommendation. We just went through, apples to apples here, we just went through a Parks and Rec Authority vacancies. Parks and Rec members or some of the staff, that new folks made recommendations or and we included that as a staff report. So that information would flow from BZA through me to the board. But the code, that's where I got that from. Code is explicit of who makes the appointments or recommendations, in this case, to the circuit court judge.
Right.
Because the board cannot say, oh, we're voting on this today, you are a member. They can make the recommendation to the judge.
Right, right. But I mean, I have no issue personally with that, just in talking with Suzanne and in talking with Betty, just from a historical perspective on why they did not handle it that way. And the reasoning that Betty gave me from Mr. Shackelford, you know, I'm not gonna begin to try to interpret code. That's what the county attorney is for. And Mr. Shackelford, you know, on the planning commission, he interpreted code more than once to me that I wouldn't agree with him on. So, just as long as, in my personal opinion, just as long as the current county attorney is in agreement with your interpretation, I have no problem with making the change. Like I say, I have no understanding, and of course, Mr. Shackelford is no longer with us as to why he interpreted it that way a number of years ago, but I'm quite comfortable with the change if Mr. Gregg is. I assume Mr. Gregg is the current county
It's
attorney.
Hannon Wright. Now, we did
Okay.
keep Sean Gregg around because we don't let a good thing go. He's on part-time. Mr. Wright does reserve duties, so it kind of helps
Yeah,
keep our
I'm
bench
not
full.
familiar with him.
So I will speak with Mr. Wright tomorrow. I did not look to see if there was a code change.
Yes.
Like, you know, ordinances or zoning ordinances and all that can change, or maybe it was amended for some time when Shaq looked at it, but I'll seek out Mr. Wright and get that response to you.
That would be appreciated.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I personally found parts of the code that said that they may appoint, and then I did find a part of the code that said that they shall appoint. And I went back and tried to find that shall appoint to make a copy of it, so I wasn't making it up, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So, I'm not sure what I saw, but, you know, like I say, I'm not gonna argue one way or the other. If it is, that's fine, but I just wanna make sure he's comfortable with that.
And even
being the case.
if, Mr. Chairman, if the attorney is in agreement with me, I'd still think it would be proper to, when we have applications, because we would do the advertising anyway, to make sure you all
Sure,
have that.
sure,
and are
of course.
giving the feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with that if the rest of the BZA is as
That's
well.
fine.
Would you like to introduce the applicants that you have tonight, or the appointments that you have tonight?
Sure,
Just
sure.
formally
So-
do that for the rest of us?
So, because my mom would get me if I don't start as a gentleman, so to my left, we have Miss Jessica Davis. And to my right, we have Mr. Kyle Knight. You want to give a little, like, maybe 1 minute or less, a little bit of background on yourself?
I'm Kyle Knight. I own an electrical company local in the area here, so kind of familiar with Madison County a little bit, do a lot of work in the area. Heard about the position and applied, thought it'd be something I'd like to get into and kind of, you know, see what this is about here, so. Sorry, I don't have much else to say yet, but,
Your family's here, you got kids, so you're not going anywhere. So you're rooted in Madison County.
Where do you live in the county?
Banco. In
Banco.
Banco, yep, off the turnpike. Yep.
Are you familiar with the ordinances of Madison County?
I'm learning them now,
Yeah,
so,
so
yes.
get a copy if you don't
Yes.
have that.
Yep, yep.
So after tonight, have you changed your mind?
No, not yet, I don't think so. I
Wait till
think it'll
next
be
month.
interesting, honestly, I'd like to get into it, learn a little bit more, and, you know, I'm interested and looking forward to it.
Sure.
So I'm Jessica Davis. I, very similar to Kyle here, saw the posting, wanting to get more involved in the community. I'm Madison resident, lifelong, live in Brightwood, finishing up grad school, currently work for Aetna as a community strategist, but have a lot of experience. I worked at Cardinal Home Center, formerly MWP, for those that still get salty about the name change, for several years in the building materials, logistics side, just looking for ways to get more involved in the community and finding more ways to be involved in what's going on. And same, I know enough about the code to be dangerous, but plan on learning a whole lot more about that, so, yeah.
And you live in Brightwood, you said?
Brightwood, yeah.
Well, but you live out in Braywood, I live in Braywood.
I live on Sand Creek,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You say you're in school now?
Yeah, I'm at George Mason. I'm finishing up my MBA and Business Analytics certificate. So we'll be done in May, and we'll be taking a very long nap after that.
And certainly, Mr. Chairman, staff stands ready to get you the resources, point you to where those are located. Mr. Nichols, who's the planning and zoning administrator, myself, kind of, we're not hard to find, so we're here to support you, so you are successful along with your colleagues.
And these, have you nominated these to the
These,
circuit court
the recommendations have been recommended to the court by the Board of Supervisors, yes.
as BZA member and alternate? Is that
Yes.
current? Okay.
Yes, and forgive me, I guess you could say I'm prepared tonight, I do not recall which one was recommended you were recommended as the alternate, okay, yes.
Okay. So it'd probably be good if we took action tonight just to confirm, or does that help? You've already nominated him.
You can if you want, certainly you have the right to do so.
Sure.
Spoke to the, Ms. Lau, the clerk, because we're waiting on BZA and, well, actually BOE, for the judge to kind of make this decision. That was one of the processes, and then obviously if the judge signs it, then you can officially take the oath, so that's some of the kind of hang up. But certainly, Mr. Chairman, if you so choose, you can take a vote.
Well, it's pleasure of the BZA if they'd like to, but you've already nominated him, already started the formal process. I mean, we're comfortable.
Okay.
You've done that. Don't you think? Okay.
I appreciate that you all came tonight.
Yes, that's very helpful. Okay, that's all the cleaning up stuff that I have to do. Does anybody else have any other business for the BZA tonight? Well, that's about as long as a BZA meeting we've had since I've been on the BZA. Usually it's one case and done.
Do we need a motion to,
Sir,
do we need a motion to?
Adjourn?
to adjourn? Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much
Will
for
you
coming.
sign that? That's last month's minutes.
You might want to split.
Thank you.
He didn't want it back, huh?
Didn't take it.
So,
I guess he
no
could get-
ballots.
I think we're okay, don't you?
Aye.
It's all on record, so.
Yeah, it's all on
Right.
record. I liked on the ballot where it said no financial gain,
Yeah,
stuff
that's right.
like that.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
I might just use those
Well,
as a cheat
that's-
sheet in the future.